Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, March 9th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my co-host for the final Tuesday, Cole. With me and you, man, it's gonna suck without you, man. I got to be honest, but Cole's here today to break down UFC Fight Night, UFC Vegas 21, Edwards versus Muhammad. Should be a pretty good card. But Cole, I just wanted to say thanks, man, for like the last 2 years. You've been a great co-host, dude, and obviously I didn't, Cole, we've talked, we didn't want you to leave the show, but the timing is going to be difficult. So we'll see how it goes, man. But you have an open invitation, as we talked about, Cole. So first off, I mean, how's everything going with you, man? I mean, obviously, your podcast is doing really great now with BJ Penn. Like, I'm glad that you parlayed that into that, Cole. And what else are you have coming up these days, Cole? What are you up to?
Still just busy doing all the MMA, doing the CBC stuff, which allows me to do MMA full time. But yeah, still busy as always.
So your goal is to you want to be full time, like you want to kind of just do it for your whole career, right? Like no more of the CBC thing, Cole. Is that your goal, kind of just to do MMA?
It doesn't really matter. Like if CBC offered me a full time job, I'd still do BJ Penn on the side, and just I don't think I'd ever leave MMA, even if CBC gave me full time. Like I'd still want to be part of it. If a full time job in MMA came up, I'd take it. It's really just whoever offers full time, really. But I am still making enough right now. Just
Cole's doing great, and you guys. I mean, we can say enough good things about Cole on here. He's a great journalist. And Cole, you're 22?
Yeah, 22 this in September, so 21.
21 years old, guys. He's got 10 years plus on me. So, Cole, you're going to have a great career in this business. Dude, think about it. I'm 32, and I finally got a full-time job after piecing together freelance for the last 10 years. So, you're going to do really well, Cole. And you got some nice comments here. Alex Dorrington says, best of luck to you. And Kevin Scott says, you'll be missed, Cole. Hope you see the chat going forward. Yeah, I think Cole's still going to join the chat, hopefully, guys. But it's just that Cole interviews tons of fighters, and he needs, his office space to do those interviews. So the fact that I have to do it after my shift out is going to be difficult. Anyways, just wanted to get that out of the way, Cole. But, we love you here, Cole. I didn't really get your thoughts on everything that happened at UFC 259. So maybe just while people are going to, get into the chat, like, can I get your thoughts on Yan and Sterling? I don't know if you gave your thoughts. I can't remember you talked about in the chat, but what were your thoughts in the situation? Now, Sterling, I saw that you had wrote the article last night, Kevin, based on Kevin Ioli's thing. Why don't you talk about it, Cole?
Yeah, I just think there has to be some sort of new rule. Maybe that's something. I don't think a title should change hands by DQ. Like, I would be totally fine if, look, fight's over, Yan just stripped, those two run back for a vacant belt. I just don't really. Like Sterling said he didn't want to be the champ that way. I think people are kind of calling him out on that just after everything he's kind of said and did after that. But to me personally, like, I think it really, you either DQ him, you give him the loss, and the title just goes vacant, or the ref just says no contest. Let's just run this thing back. And Yan retains, but it's really not a title defense. Like, it's just like the fight never happened and they just do it again later on. Like, I personally didn't like seeing the title change hands by DQ, but maybe that's just my opinion.
I agree with you too. Here's the thing. And I talked about on Saturday. I said, I wish they just called it the no contest. The problem with that is because it was in the fourth round, it would have went to the scorecards. Yep. So Yan would have won the title, I believe, via split decision, if I'm not mistaken.
Which is crazy. People had I had Yan winning every single round.
I got to ask you about that because my tweet came on TV, and I think DC read it. And it's like I said 30-27 Yan, and I was the only guy who had that scorecard. And, I've actually had a lot of people reach out and say, dude, you were the only guy scoring the fight correctly because, Cole, I'm sorry, but I know Sterling did well in that first couple of minutes of the first round.
He got dropped.
Yeah, that round is not yours. The second round, I guess, could have went maybe. I have to watch it again, but I thought Yan controlled nearly every round of the fight. So
and Sterling was like 1 of 18 on takedowns.
Can you believe it? Yan actually was 7-7.
Yeah.
Sterling was 1 of 17. I was reading yesterday, Cole. Can you believe that?
And the thing too, like I saw Demetrius Johnson tweet about it, and it makes a lot of sense. He's like, at that point, like Sterling's just kind of buying time. Like he's not making in a rush to get up or fall to his back. Like he's like it was kind of a trap. Like he's literally sitting there. Like if I get hit, I know that's. Like I'm gonna become the champion. Like either the ref has to say at that point, because what's Yan supposed to do? Just kind of stand there and just like he can't hit him at all, really. Like because his arms are over his body. It's the only point of contact he can hit is his head. So either the ref says Sterling, you got to go to your back, or you got to get up, because it was just in like that was basically the only place Yan could hit him.
I was wondering if guys can just walk around the octagon on their knees now, Cole, like just so they won't get hit with an illegal shot. Listen, he screwed up. It cost him his belt. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. I just think that, if you're one of those people saying there's no controversy here and that, the rules were followed, that, you got to relook at what the sport's about. It's about deciding who the best fighter in the world is. And there's no chance in hell Sterling's the best bantamweight. It's not his fault this happened, obviously. This is a great point by Kevin. One good thing about the title going to Sterling is that he gets paid championship money in the rematch. I think it's a nice punishment reward, but hard to call him a champ. Yeah, I just think he's such a paper champ. Like, there's some people that are his fans kind of saying, hey, Sterling, you didn't do anything wrong. Like, might as well enjoy the belt while you have it. I get that, but to me, he's the worst champion in UFC history. Cole, I've already said it. I stand by it. It's not really his fault. I just don't think he deserves to be the champion. To me, this is worse than when Randy Couture and Vitor Belfort fought, and Vitor cut Randy's eyelid with like his glove or whatever, and the fight ended in 40 seconds, and Vitor won the belt. That was like one of the most controversial calls ever. And then, although it was the right call, this is kind of the same thing, I guess. It is what it is, Cole. Is there anything else you want to talk about from the card yesterday? I don't know if I got your scorecard in Jan and Israel. How did you?
I had it.
You had for Israel. Don't tell me. Did you?
No, I had a 3-2
Okay,
Jan. I thought it was closer 4-1 Jan than it would have been 3-2 Izzy. Like, I didn't see a way Izzy won 3 rounds. I could have saw a way you give Jan 4.
And do you think that a lot of the people that were scoring it for Israel were kind of too reliant on the commentary from DC and Rogan? They were just listening to that, not really concentrating on the fight, or?
Yeah, like I was watching with the 3 of my buddies, and so we have one of my friends' house, and like two of them are big MMA fans. One's just like he just kind of comes along to drink beer and hang out. But even he's like, isn't the guy in the isn't the bigger guy winning? And we're like, yeah. He goes, so why are they saying that guy's winning? I'm like,
it was the most biased commentary you've ever heard. I think
even my one friend that's not even an MMA fan knew Jan was winning.
Yeah, it was. He obviously won the fight. But I just hope the UFC does look at the commentary team going forward. Cole, I think obviously Anik and Fitzgerald are great. Felder's great. Bisping's great. Cruz is pretty good too. He's kind of grown on me a little bit, and I think there's a couple other guys like Smith, Chiesa, although I don't know if they're doing table side duties, but I love DC. I think Marcel, he's been said it a few times now. He's kind of like your uncle at the barbecue, Cole. Like, he cracks jokes. He's a guy that it's almost like he was in your bedroom or your living room with you, Cole, watching the fight with your friends and you having some beers. I don't know if that's what we really want. I think we want someone that's more technical on TV. I've been watching a ton of tape lately, guys, old fights, preparation, especially for this card tonight, and we're going to break down here. And, Brian Stan, even Dan Hardy, who we talked about yesterday, Cole, they explain the techniques and stuff in their fights, and they do a great job of it. And yes, Dan went a little overboard with Herb Dean, and we know what happened now, but I thought he did a great job. I thought Brian Stan was one of the best guys, Cole. I think Joe Rogan was great. I don't learn anything from them when I watch anymore. Like, they're just basically entertainment now. You know what I mean, Cole? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think DC's better without Rogan. I think those two together just kind of feed off each other.
They just ham it up, eh? They just ham it up, and there's, listen, they're having a good time. I like that they're having a good time, but they're being paid well to have knowledge and research. And, when Rogan's like, hey, Jan, are you ever going to go back to middleweight? I mean, that's just really bad, Cole. Or when DC says Jan's never fought 5 rounds before. I mean, that's stuff that basic information, Cole. These are guys who are sitting in the commentary booth. It's kind of embarrassing if you ask me, but it is what it is. Got this comment from Kevin. Worst champ ever. Nico Montano would like to have a word with you. Yeah. But at least she won tough. She looked amazing on tough. We'll at least give her that, Okay, cool. Anything else on the card? Is there anything else you want to say? Actually, you know what, Cole? One other thing you mentioned, the bonus thing. They took a bonus last week, and then they had 15 fights. Why not give another bonus? What do you think, Cole?
Yeah, you could have given it to a lot of people. I agree with you that if Israel got the decision, he would have got a bonus for that exact same fight. Like, if somehow the judges just said Adesanya won that fight, Adesanya would have got a performance bonus, because that's literally his Brad Tavares fight. It went the distance.
Thank you.
It wasn't
very similar.
It wasn't a performance-worthy bonus. It was a good win, but
yeah, I agree with that. And I watched the Kai fight back yesterday after we talked about it. So my friend, his name is Kai, so we watched it because it's his favorite fighter. He didn't watch it on Saturday. And I think I was a little harsh on him yesterday, Cole, because he did show amazing submission defense. I just think that if you're losing 4 minutes and 50 seconds of the round, then you land a Hail Mary punch, is that really a better performance than a guy like Jan, who just beat one of the guys that everyone said was never going to lose? I don't know. All right, Cole, that's it for 259. Unless there's anything else you want to mention, we're going to move on from it. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, let's go to the next card, UFC Fight Night, Edwards Muhammad. I'm going to pull it up here, Cole, in Topology. Just, as a whole, what do you think of the card?
Yeah, it's obviously all right. I think this card had the make it being a great fight night. Edwards, Shemaev, Rosenstruck gone, and then Hall, Ige is your top 3 fights, and now it's not, but it's still an okay fight card. It's way better than next week's card, which is not good.
Yeah, I agree with that too. You mentioned that to me. You're like the 20th card. This one's okay. I mean, listen, there's some good. There's actually some real bangers on the prelims. I just wish they were more consistent. Like last week was so stacked. Like the prelims, Cole, some of those like Kenny Cruz could have easily been a 5-round, fight night headliner in my opinion. You know what I mean, Cole? So it's just kind of weird how some cards are so stacked and then some like this are kind of weaker. But there are some fights on here that are interesting. Let's start off here in the UFC welterweight division, Cole. We got Jason Witt against Matthew Semelsberger. Right now we got Matthew Semelsberger against minus 125 and Jason Witt plus 105. Give your pick.
I like the underdog here, Jason Witt. I don't think you can really be high on either guy. Like Matthew Semelsberger beat Carlton Minus, who is in that conversation as the worst UFC fighters to go down. Like he literally had no power on his punches. He came from that Alaska FC, just a padded record. And then Jason Witt, obviously that I don't really put too much stock into his debut. Like he took the fight, I think it was like 48 hours notice. And then the day of the event, like 10 minutes before he's supposed to walk out, they're like, oh, wait, your medicals aren't cleared yet. We're just going to kind of just keep on training. You're not really going to know when you're going to fight, which really messes with someone, especially making their UFC debut. Like you're told you're going to fight at like 7:30 and then they're like 7:22 comes around. They're like, you might be now, you might be an hour later. Like how do you even really get prepared? And then look good against Cole Williams. But again, that's Cole Williams. How do you really look impressive? I just think Jason Witt's grappling is going to be different. I think he can probably just take down Matthew Semelsberger. I think he can push a hard pace, but I would not be surprised if he just can't get inside and Semelsberger just jabs his face off for 3 rounds. But I'll pick Jason Witt, but I don't really know how you'd be confident in either guy.
Okay, so I told Cole this yesterday. I did all my tape study yesterday, guys. I locked myself in my room. I turned off Twitter, and I studied all the tapes. So I watched both these guys really closely. My thoughts on these guys, and I don't know if I have my actual pick right now, but I'll give my leans for these fights because we still have 5 days, Cole. Obviously, we have the weigh-ins and stuff, but for this fight, Cole, I actually lean towards Semelsberger, and there's a few reasons for that. He's a younger guy. He's 6 years younger. Watching him, he's just a lot bigger, Cole. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. UFC Stats doesn't list his reach, guys. It is 75 inches. I did see that in one of his I think the Carlton Minus fight showed it. I don't know why the UFC Stats website isn't updated. And there is another mistake for one of their fighters later that I'll talk about. I keep seeing mistakes. Screw them, though, Cole. They don't have a contact list. I'm not going to go on Twitter every time I see a mistake and complain about it. So if you guys listen to this podcast, you're going to catch the mistakes that I'm seeing on the UFC Stats websites, and you're going to know that, and you're going to have an edge when you place your wagers. So, Cole, I think Jason Witt has got a weak chin. I mean, quite frankly, he's been knocked out a bunch of times, guys. And the fight with Sato, yes, it was short notice, Cole. I don't know if anything changes, though. Like, if he gets punched in the face with a straight left, he's going to get KO'd, I think, again. He keeps his hands pretty low, too. Semelsberger listen, he's not there's some problems with him here. He's not the most experienced guy, his camp crazy 88s or whatever in Maryland. Like there's no one else that's a UFC fighter that trains with him. So that's an issue, but I like what I've seen from this kid. He's an aggressive fighter. He's got power. He's a big guy, a former football player. He was a prospect that potentially make the NFL, didn't make it, but now he's in MMA and he's doing pretty well, Cole. And I just think Witt's chin is going to be a huge problem, Cole, in that reach. I don't think he's going to get around it. Having said that, if he gets takedowns, he's going to win this fight. There's no doubt about it because we saw against Cole Williams how dominant Jason Witt is on the ground. But I got to be honest with you, Cole. That was almost like you were in the octagon. Cole Shelton was fighting him because that guy sucks. Cole Williams is the worst fighter ever probably in the UFC. He missed weight by 5 pounds twice and got destroyed twice, Cole. He's a bad fighter. He's not a UFC fighter, so I don't know what I can take away from that. And watching his other fights, like I watched the Zach Busha fight, he looked okay in that fight. Didn't look great. To me, it's a guy that is a quality veteran. He's a good gatekeeper for this kind of level guy, like in Semelsberger. But I like the prospect here a little bit, guys, in Semelsberger. So that's another fight I'm going to look into more. But from right now, I like Semelsberger and the whole the James Krause thing. We got to talk about it quickly. Don't blindly just bet on James Krause's fighters, guys. Yeah. Seriously. I did it with Kevin Kroom the other week. I was like, I trust his process, and we saw what happened. It didn't look good in that fight. Yes, it worked with Derek Minner. I got that one right, but Megan Anderson, tons of people were like the James Krause angle, Cole. Yes, it worked with Tim Elliott. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's going to win every time. So if you're just saying, oh, he's training with James Krause, that means he's got a better camp. He's going to beat this guy. You got to look into it deeper. Go ahead, Cole.
It's the same thing, like 2 years ago with Safe Saud, everyone was betting Fortis guys, and 3 years ago with City Kickboxing when all those guys were coming up. It's the exact same thing that happens every year. Someone goes, that's that's the best coach. Let me just pick all his fighters.
Absolutely. So just be careful about it a little bit, guys. Like, again, it's a close fight. The line is close for a reason, but Semmelsberger does have more upside here, I believe. Okay, next up, we got Gloria DePaul against Ginyu Freykol in the women's 115-pound division. Right now, we have Gloria DePaula. She is -185, Ginyu Frey +160. Who's your pick?
I like Gloria DePaul. I'm just not too high on Ginyu Frey. I just think she got to the UFC a bit too late. She's already 35. Like, I think she's on that downward slide. I picked against her in both her UFC fights. Like, she obviously has some good wins in Invicta, beating Ashley Cummins, but she really doesn't have like an outstanding win on her career. But with DePaula, like, she did get the win on Contender Series. I didn't know how good she was going to be entering that fight, but I just think she can probably just out-grapple Ginyu Frey here. Like, I just don't really see a pathway for Ginyu Frey. Like, I think she's going to be a lot slower than DePaula there. Like, the way Hansen submitted her, like, that's kind of scarier just because she was up 2 rounds and she gets tapped out in the 3rd round. But the line, I think, is a bit too high because Ginyu Frey is probably the more experienced fighter. But I do like DePaul slightly, but I'm not really sure I'm going to place a bet on this one.
Did you watch the video I sent you last night?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Oh, wait, which one? The minute-long fight?
Yeah, what do you think? Gloria DePaul against, what was it?
What was that fight?
Finding her name right here. Raphael. You know what? Let's just play it. Let's play it right now. I'm going to play it right here. One sec. Gloria DePaula versus Raphael. And I know that this girl is not good, guys. I get that, but what's her name called? Raphaela or something?
Yeah.
What is it? Can you spell it for me? Sorry.
Yeah, it is Rafaela Rodriguez.
Okay, I got it. I think I got it. Got it. Okay, let's play this. So again, this is what you get when you really study on these fights. You look on YouTube and look at their old fights. Now let's watch this one, guys. Hopefully you don't get a what was it called, Cole? Copyright claim, like when I played Struve and Stoyanich last week. Can you guys hear it or no? Can you hear it, Cole?
No, it's fine.
Okay, that's fine. We don't need to hear it. But just watch this one, guys. Watch this girl. This is DePaula here on the left. What I like about her Muay Thai, her length, her power. I mean, like, in this fight was just brutal. Like, you can just see her just brutalize this girl at the clinch. She's actually dating Myra Bueno da Silva, who's in the UFC as well, who you guys know I like as well. I like this girl, guys. I really like her. I wish the line was lower. It opened at -133 according to Best Fight Odds. Cool. I would have loved it at that price. -185, it makes it a bit trickier because of the lack of experience. And she does have some issues with her takedown defense too, from what I saw. She could get taken down and held here, but Ginyu Frey is a tiny girl, Cole. Like, she should be fighting at 105. I know she's strong. She's very strong. She's also a lot older in this fight, Cole. Everything points to DePaula, man. I just showed you guys her fight from Brazil. She does have a couple losses, grappling-based losses to UFC fighters, former UFC fighter DePaula, I believe, and then Carnelossi. So that is something to keep in mind. But to me, that's something to keep in mind going forward against a grappler, Cole. Like, if she fought Carla Esparza, that would be a problem. You know what I mean? This fight, I like her here, Cole. I really like her, guys. So I like DePaula. I hope the line goes down. That's what I'll say. There are some other books with -160 I'm seeing floating out there, so that's not a bad line. I would just need her. Like, I'm going to play her at some capacity, I believe. I just hope the line gets a little better. That's all. Frey's too inactive, doesn't pull the trigger, sign of age. Dude, she didn't look good at all in those fights. The first round against Kay Hansen, she did actually look good, Cole, and then that was it. In the fight with Lobo and Luke Budman, she got pretty much dominated for 3 rounds. So, she's got good cardio. She's got a lot of experience. There's no doubt about it. There's not enough to like about her. I do like the other side here, guys. Good morning, guys. Thoughts on Carlos Felipe and Jake Collier? Oh, of course. Well, we're breaking on this card, man, but we did talk about that a little bit with Marcel the other day, Cole, and the battle of the big boys, Cole. I guess Felipe should probably be the favorite in that fight, if I had to guess, though, Cole. You'd agree with that?
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next fight, Cole. Now I have to pull up the page again, guys. It's like Edwards, Muhammad.
Martinez Grant.
Thank you, Cole. Davey Grant and Jonathan Martinez, excuse me. By the way, I love this fight. This could easily be fight of the night, guys. This is a sick fight. Jonathan Martinez right now, Cole, big favorite, -325. Davey Grant +265, and quickly, Valerie says Paul at the finish, and I'm kind of thinking the same thing, Valerie. But like the Lemos fight last week, we all thought it was going to decision, and she was just so much bigger and stronger. Cole, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I'm surprised this is the fight. I thought Jonathan Martinez would get someone a bit more known, especially after beating Thomas Almeida, who has a bit of a name. Davey Grant's a guy that entering that Grigori Popov fight. Like, he was fighting for his UFC job 2 fights ago, and then he edges out a split, really close fight. And then that Martin Day knocks him out. I think we were both on.
Yeah, we were both on Grant as a dog. Mm-hmm.
But that fight, although it was a good knockout, that's what kind of scares me. Like, he's a grappler. Like, his best attribute is a grappler. And you see time and time again, when a grappler gets that big one-punch knockout, all of a sudden they think they can stand with everyone. And if that's his game plan where he just stands, Jonathan Martinez is just going to pick him apart. Jonathan Martinez is a much better technical striker. Just going to kick his leg, use his jab, just kind of get inside, piece up Grant, and then get out again. I think Grant will try to take him down. I don't think he'll be able to. I think Martinez will be able to keep this standing and just kind of pick apart Davey for as long as it lasts. I think it's going to go the distance. I don't really think Jonathan Martinez has a whole lot of finishing ability. That Penguin Lou, like, that was just like a perfectly timed knee. And then Frankie Saenz, like, he beat Frankie Saenz by finish. Is that really impressive? But I'll go Jonathan Martinez by decision.
Well, okay, so I watched the tape on these guys yesterday. You guys already know I like Martinez a lot. You had a bet on him last night against Almeida, Cole. He was like maybe minus 150, but maybe less than that. It was a great bet. The guy's great. He's got great strike. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of age here advantage, 26, I think, to 35, so that's a huge advantage. Very active. He's got that flying knee that we've seen against Pingwan Liu, I believe, a brutal flying knee in the third round. So he's got cardio. He should have beat Andre Ewell. Almost every media member scored it for him. I watched the fight again, Cole. He should have won 2-1. It was one of those fights where Ewell did this thing at the last 10 seconds, and the dumbass judges in Texas gave him the round, Cole. That's what happened. He did a flurry with 10 seconds left. I was like, really? They actually scored it for him? I can't believe it. So this dude should be on a 5-fight win streak right now, guys. So he's very good. Here's the thing. Davey Grant doesn't fight, right? So I kind of forget what he's like and stuff, even though we were on him in his last fight. I remember the fight. He actually got dropped, by the way, in that fight, and then came back and won in the third round. Cole, he's actually a really good fighter. I watched his fights again. Davey Grant's a very good fighter. He's very good. He's well-rounded. He's got pretty good striking. He's got really good wrestling. Tough, durable. It's just that he's too inactive and he's older now. So I think this fight's probably going to be actually a little bit tougher for the Martinez side than people think, to be honest with you, Cole. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if I can pull a trigger on Grant as a dog, even though I do think that there's a path here with him taking him down and holding him. I just don't know if he can get it down consistently, Cole. And on the feet, yes, he does surprisingly have a little bit of power and could test Martinez, but the age gap is a little bit too much too. So right now my lean is towards Martinez, guys. It's just that I think Day's a lot more underrated than people think. And watching his fights again, the guy is a fun fighter to watch. You should watch the fight with Marlon Vera, Cole. He did really well against a guy like Marlon, who's a top guy right now. So he's not bad. He's just, he doesn't fight, Cole. So that's the problem. How are you going to talk about my boy Dangerous Davey like that? He just doesn't fight that often, And also the level of competition has been pretty low, I think, Cole, overall. Mm-hmm. Although Martinez honestly hasn't been great either, Cole. So I think it's actually a tougher test than people look on paper. It might look. That's what I think. But yeah, Martinez should win the fight. Over 2.5 is juice, though, Cole. So I'd rather look at the under and take a shot on maybe on a finish in this fight potentially. Because both guys have knockout power, as you've seen, but I think they both can get hurt too. So interesting fight. Charles Jourdain against Marcelo Rojo, Cole. Right now we got Jourdain minus 260, Rojo plus 220. What do you think of this big line on Jourdain?
It's like in his last fight, he proves he can't back it up. Like, I don't really think you can bet on him this big of a favorite. Like, I do think this is a setup fight for Charles Jourdain to get a win. I think the UFC likes him. He has an entertaining style. Like, they need more fighters from Canada. They kind of like the Des Green fight. Obviously, that's up a weight class, short notice. Just get into the UFC. Then he looks really good knocks out Du Choi. The split against Andre Fili, that was a really close fight. Could have gone either way, and that's proving he can hang with the top guys. But then he has that draw against Joshua Kulabau, which was what this fight I think was supposed to be, just a setup fight for Jourdain to get back in the win column and probably get some good finish. But with Rojo, like, I don't really understand why he got to the UFC. Like, he hasn't fought since September of 2019. And he's 1-2 in his last 2, and he got submitted against John Castaneda in Combate America. It's like he has a problem. You look at his career where he gets submitted. Like, I think he struggles with the ground. So hear me out. What about Charles Jourdain by submission?
What's the odds? I've heard people talk about this actually. Jourdain by inside the distance only. It's plus 115. We don't have a sub prop yet, but I'd imagine it'd be like plus 300 or 400. Because
this guy is a terrible ground game, which is why I don't know like that Yanni Barcelos fight would have been a beat down if Rojo took that. But
yeah,
I just think Jourdain's a better striker. I think he's a better grappler. Like, even though he struggled with Kuliba's grappling, like, I don't think Rojo is a good grappler. And on the feet, Jourdain's a much powerful striker, much more technical striker. Like, I think this is Jourdain, probably Jourdain inside the distance.
Yeah, and when I get those comments, I just see them, guys. I'm going to get to them in a second. I'm kind of with you on this. I lean a little bit toward Jourdain. Watching his fights back, the guy, the TKO version of him was just an incredible fighter, Cole. That fight where he knocked the guy with the spinning back fist, that was just absolutely insane. So what he did, if you go watch his fights in TKO, unbelievable. He's struggled in the UFC, man. He really has. He's got great striking, guys. He's got knockout power. We saw against Andre Fili, he dropped him. His chin's a little bit weak, Cole. I think Josh Kulibau dropped him in his last fight. Although, to be fair, he didn't see it coming. He was spinning around at the time where he hit him. I just think that he can get dropped. I think Du Choi also dropped him. So defensively not sound. That's a problem, Cole. That's my issue with this fight, because this Rojo guy, I actually watched his fights. I'm like, you know what? On paper, yeah, he's not that good. I watched his fights. Just like John Castaneda a few weeks ago, guys. 1-2 coming into his – remember, he was 1-2, right, coming into the UFC. This guy's 2-1, Cole. And everyone's like, John Castaneda sucks. His record sucks. Watch his fights, guys. Like, this guy's actually very aggressive, entertaining. He's pretty well-rounded, man. He's got some power on the feet. He's got some submissions. I do think the submission on the ground is a weakness, though, if you can get planted on his back. I think this fight's going to stay standing, though, Cole. I mean, Daniel's saying he likes the under. I think someone might get finished, too, guys. I don't know if this is going to go 3 rounds. So, what is it at? I'm guessing it's 2.5. It's even money. I mean, that's actually – I would rather bet on a finish, Cole, than betting on a side here. And I know that, yeah, Jourdain's been going in the distance, but Cole, I'm telling you, man, this might be the one where someone gets stopped, especially with Rojo coming on short notice, too. So, my lean is Jourdain. I just think that you got to look at the Rojo side a little bit, guys, more. Don't just blindly bet against Jourdain. I don't think I'm going to bet on Jourdain in this fight. Nevro, a guy who's really smart, he says, Rojo's my dog pick. Jourdain can get this up, but I think Rojo by decision, more experienced, but he has the UFC grits where Jourdain shouldn't have. Yeah, he's actually a pretty good fighter, man. So don't just blind. Everyone's going to do it anyways, but don't just blindly put Charles Jourdain in your parlay, especially after last time, Cole. I'm staying away from this guy for a little while because until he proves to me he's made those differences in his game. Now, I want to get these comments from the last fight. I missed them. Oh, sorry, from John, actually. Hey, John, and I want to talk about you in a second, John. He said, I would take my chances with Rojo. Dude has nothing to lose. He's fighting up a weight class. Yeah, that's true, too. Under's better. Grant will go for it. I think, that's the Grant fight. And then Nev was talking about, he said Martinez is great, but Grant's underestimated. I agree, dude. He really is. He actually is very underrated when I watch his fights again. Very underrated fighter. John, I was going to say, man, watching your interview with Trevin Jones last week helped tip me off and picked him, bro. Thank you, John. Great interviews. Cole, you do great interviews. John does great interviews. James, I know the best interviews. They're my best friends in the game, man. I love it. So, and I just watched your interview with Philippe Lins today, John, by the way, this morning. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes here. What's the next fight, Cole? Let's get to it. It is Ray. Okay, Ronnie Yara and Ray Rodriguez. You interviewed Ray, and so did John, and I've seen both your guys' interviews. So we'll talk about this fight, Cole. Odds right now, Ronnie Yara is a massive favorite, minus 290, and Ray Rodriguez plus 245. Can the dog get it done, Cole? What do you think?
I think the odds are way too high. Like, if you're going to take a bet, I think it's Ray Rodriguez with your bet. Like, Randy Yaya, like, I think everyone's kind of looking at Ray Rodriguez's last fight where he got submitted by Brian Kelleher. Short notice. Like, that was another situation where, remember that, where Ray Rodriguez came in on like Wednesday. They're saying he's gonna make his debut, and he was supposed to fight Keller's supposed to fight Kevin Nativad, and then Friday he weighs in, and they're like, all right, you no longer need it. Then Saturday morning, all of a sudden, Ray Rodriguez gets called, and he's like, all right, now you're fighting. Like, he was sort of preparing, he wasn't really preparing for a fight, and then gets tapped out with Randy Yaya. I think that's why the line is won't play it. I think everyone thinks Randy Yaya is gonna go take him down and submit him, but Randy Yaya at this stage of his career, like, he's old, like, he's 36, like, he's slowing down. Like, if he can take Ray Rodriguez down, I wouldn't be surprised if he submits him. I wouldn't be surprised if Ray Rodriguez knocks him out. I'll pick Randy Yaya because I think he is the better grappler, and I think he can get this fight down to the ground and either submit Ray Rodriguez or win a decision. But there's no way you can bet Randy Yaya. The kid is really dog or pass if you're betting this fight.
Yeah, this one is it's just like the Jourdain fight. I wouldn't lay the juice on Yaya, guys. And again, I watched those fights, and I watched Ray Rodriguez's yesterday. So Yaya, obviously, if he gets the fight to the ground, there's a very good chance, especially for Cole in the first round, he gets the submission. There's no doubt about it. Quite frankly, I would rather play him inside the distance at minus 115, Cole, than lay the juice. If that's the way you're going to go, or maybe by sub, because I think that's his path here. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't get the sub, Cole, I think he's going to have a hard time winning this fight, to be completely honest with you. This is a much closer fight, the odds indicate, guys. Ray Rodriguez, he has a bad record. Obviously, if you look at his UFC stats page, he lost to Tony Gravely in Contender Series. He lost to Brian Keller in his debut, like Cole said on short notice. But guys, he destroyed Jimmy Flick, absolutely destroyed him. Jimmy Flick could not get the takedown and got pieced up on the feet. What happens here if Yaya doesn't get the takedown, Cole?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, Ray could just destroy him against the fence with knees and punches. He's the bigger guy, stronger guy. He's got a good ground game too. It's just the problem is what he does good with the submissions and stuff is what Yaya does good on too. So it's a tough fight to call. I think it should be 2-1 to Yaya, not 3-1.
Yeah,
I think he deserves to be the favorite. He has tons of experience in the UFC. His last fight with Barzola though was very telling in my opinion, because if you watch the fight, and I think that John talked about it in his interview, and you might have too, Cole, he really slowed down in the third round. Mm-hmm. And we got Daniel said a few guys saying Ray third round TKO. I think it's possible too, because he held on for dear life, and I think Ray does have the better cardio. It's tough though, guys, because Ray could easily get choked out in the first minute of this fight too, as we saw against Kelleher. So because he leaves his neck out a lot, and he likes to initiate grappling as well. So yeah, it's a tough fight, but for me, I'm passing on Yaya for sure, and I'm thinking about Ray, but I don't know if I want to even touch this fight, Cole. It's one of those ones where it's dog or pass, I believe, but I might just pass. What's the under though? Because it's under 1.5. That sucks. It is plus money though, so that's interesting because probably a finish early on. But again, if Yaya could just hold on, maybe Ray can finish him in the third round when he's got more cardio. If it goes to the ground, Vet takes. The only thing is the Vet slows down after the second. He slows down a lot, man. Third is bad for Yaya. He looked so bad in the last fight in his third round. He looked so bad. He held on for dear life. He actually lost the fight 10-8. So I saw one interview with Yaya. Some guy interviewed him on YouTube. I don't want to talk bad about the guy, but it really wasn't a great interview. No offense to the guy. He barely asked him about this fight. I think he asked him one question, but basically, Cole, he said, I had a bad performance my last fight. I'm going back to my roots here. He just wants to wrestle, guys. So I don't think he's going to stand and bang with Ray, and I think he did that too much for Barzola. He's going to go for the takedown, but we'll see. I mean, I just think the line's way too juiced. It's way too juiced. And if you don't do your research on this card and you just blindly look at it and look at their stats and you think, hey, Ray Rodriguez sucks, Cole, because he lost to Keller in 30 seconds or whatever, you don't know the circumstances for that. It looks like an easier fight to predict than it is. This is another one where it's definitely a dog or pass, guys. I'm with John. There's a lot of Rojo, Rodriguez, Cole. Do you think Rojo is dog or pass, Cole, that fight, or is it favorite or pass?
I think it's dog or pass too, but I wouldn't bet Rojo, so I just a complete pass.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm passing along too. And then Grant Martinez, what do you think? Dog or pass or favorite or pass?
I like Martinez though. I don't really like.
I understand. Yeah, I know your thing. Yeah,
I'd maybe do Martinez's decision.
He should win. Maybe look at that prop, like Cole said. I'll take the under 2.5. It says 1.5, but maybe another book will open at 2.5. Hey, remember any unders hit Vegas 20, all but 1 of 10 fights. The overs, you mean? I think, right? No, sorry, Vegas 20. Was it Vegas? I can't remember. The card with that's the Blades card he's talking about, right? Was that 20?
No, that's Gone Rosenstruck. Where
everything went over then.
Yeah, everything went over.
You meant the other one, man. I think you meant the other one around. Anyways, Cole, what's the next fight? Let's go to it. Courtney Casey, JJ Aldrich. Right now, Aldrich minus 150. Casey plus 130. Thoughts?
I like JJ Aldrich here. Like, I just don't really know how good Courtney Casey. I don't really know how good either girl is. Like, obviously, JJ Aldrich went on that winning streak, but look who she's beating. Like, Shan Moon Jen, Daniel Taylor, Paulina Viana, I guess, is an okay win. And then loses to Macy Barber. That first round was impressive. She dropped Macy Barber, like, first time anyone did that. But then she just kind of got, like, overwhelmed. Beat Lauren Mueller. Then a split against Sabina Mazo, which was a close fight, but I don't really know how at the time it looked good that she went to a split, but after what Alexis Davis just did to Mazo, like, maybe it isn't as good. But with Courtney Casey, like, it gets really hard. She either gets controlled grappling or she does the grappling controlling, which is so weird. Like, Jillian Robinson just controlled her, but then she submits Mario Rambello. Cindy Cabello controlled her. Like, that she has a lot of close fights. Look at her career. She has just a bunch of split decisions where her career could have gone so many different ways if she gets one of those. But I like JJ Aldrich here. I think JJ Aldrich can keep it on the feet. I think she's a much better striker than what Courtney Casey is. I think she'll just pick apart Courtney Casey. I don't see a finish happening. I don't really think JJ Aldrich has that knockout power, so I think JJ Aldrich wins by decision.
Yeah, and just once again, these are leans for me right now because, like John said, those dogs, I actually might take a few of those dogs in my official picks by Sunday, Cole. Like, if Ray Rodriguez looks way bigger in the scale, I might take him over Yaya. I'm thinking about it. Cole, for this fight, I like Aldrich too, man. Again, watching them back, Aldrich is actually very underrated, guys. She's got really good striking. She's a southpaw. She stays in a good Muay Thai stance. She's got great clinch work, good knees from the clinch, good straight left. She did really well against Macy Barber. She won the first round. And then, like you said, Cole, she got hit with some really big power shots from Macy. I just don't think Casey has that kind of power in her hands. She's never shown any power in the UFC. She's a very tough, durable person. I think this fight does go the distance, I would say. But I think Aldrich's pieces are up, Cole. Unless Casey can get this fight to the ground, pull guard, or somehow Aldrich gets her to the ground and she gets an armbar for her back, because Aldrich actually, she's pretty good on top position, but she could get caught in submission. And Casey's great off her back, Cole. That's one of her best things. But that's such a problem in modern day MMA, guys. Actually, not even say modern day, Cole. The last 10, 15 years. If you're on your back, you're almost always losing the fight, according to judges. So this could easily be a split decision that goes against her, too. The judges are likely to be involved here, guys, which does make it tough because you never know what they see. And the over's minus 470. You obviously have to play a side here. I like Aldrich. I would like to get her at a pick-em price, though. I don't know if I want to lay minus 150. Is that a bet from Cole or more just like a lean?
No, more just a lean. I don't really trust either of them with my money, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that, too. This is probably going to be a pass for me. But I'd rather look at Aldrich here because I think, she's a much younger fighter, obviously, in the spot. Trains at a good camp. Casey, where is she even training? I mean, I know she's Drakkar Klose's girlfriend.
They're just like gym
fiance.
They're just like gym floating right now around Arizona.
I don't like that, Cole. Do you? Like, I really don't like that. And they both had fights, I think, fall through recently. And also, I was on her against Robertson. She didn't put up a fight in that. She didn't fight for her money, Cole. Like, she just kind of was content to stay in bottom and got dominated. So not really someone I want to bet on, guys. And also her record sub 500 in UFC. Again, someone you kind of want to fade. Aldrich is a little bit underrated, I believe. Eryk Anders, Darren Stewart, Cole. This one's interesting. You got two huge middleweights. I mean, these guys, I don't know how they make 185, Cole. They're both massive dudes. Also, Valerie says Casey might miss weight. I wouldn't be surprised, Valerie. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Right now, Cole, we got Stewart minus 175, Anders plus 155. You talked to Eryk Anders before this fight, or who? Talk to us. What he said to you.
Yeah, he obviously switched camps. Like, left Alabama. It was just him and Walter. It's a bunch of amateur guys. He realized he's got to take his career a lot more seriously. So he went out to Fight Ready, which I think is a great gym. We're working under Eddie Shaw, like Captain Eryk, all those guys over there. So I actually like Eryk Anders in this fight. It's hard to trust either guy though, but I just like the plus money price on Eryk Anders. Like, Darren Stewart's a guy that he almost beat Kevin Holland, but both of them were just completely gassed. Like, he beats Mark Tolo, but then that Bartosz Spinski fight, like, I remember that was that Cage Warriors fight, that card that was just half UFC fights basically, and he just kind of got out grappled. I don't really think Eryk Anders is going to do that, but I don't think Darren Stewart can take Eryk Anders down. Like, Eryk Anders is a big guy. He has really good takedown defense. I think on the feet, I think he's a better striker. I think he is the more powerful striker, but Darren Stewart has a really good chin. I can't see Darren Stewart getting knocked out. I just think Eryk Anders will just be able to have the more volume, land the bigger shots, and just kind of win a decision.
These guys are very similar fighters, honestly. Yeah. They're both huge, strong dudes. They like to fight in the clinch. They like to fight at range at times. They both have some power. I think Stewart's got more power, though, to be honest with you. It's a tough fight to call. I mean, it really is. I wish the line was closer because I'd probably have a strong lean towards Stewart here. At minus 175, Cole, I don't think I can play him, but I do lean towards his way a little bit because I think he's a little bit more well-rounded as an MMA fighter, guys. We saw in his last fight he submitted Maki Pitolo. We've never seen Eryk Anders, I believe, get a submission in the UFC. Eryk, besides that fight with Tim Williams, I think his name was, he hasn't really knocked anyone out in a while either. The problem with Eryk, he likes to follow guys too. If you watch the Elias Theodore fight and the Cheetah fight, Cole, he follows them around and they can, switch their angles and pick them apart from the outside. And, Stewart, I think I believe Andrews has a slightly longer reach actually in this fight. That's 1 inch, I think. It's basically the same. I just think Stewart fights a little longer too, Cole. And, Anders, I like the guy, but I think he's taken a lot of damage in his career, guys. And, watching back, like the fight with Khalil Roundtree, he got just beaten down. The fight with Thiago Santos, that fight is a fucking war. That was a war of attrition. Like, it felt like someone was going to die in the octagon that night. Watch that fight again. Cole, remember when he couldn't even get up from the ground at the end of that fight? So unbelievable fight. But to me, I'm fading him a little bit, Cole. And I think that the Holland fight with Stewart was super close. Holland could have easily lost that fight, and if Stewart had beaten Holland, he'd be fighting Brunson in the main event right now. So to me, I think it's a close fight, Cole. But my lean is towards Stewart a little bit. You leaning towards an over or an under in this one? The over is minus 215. Do you think there's a chance for a finish, or?
I don't think it goes a distance unless somehow one of them. Like, the problem is the way DB Darren Stewart is by submission. Eryk Anders is not going to.
Yes, I was going to talk about his submission defense. It looked really bad at the beginning of his career, obviously, against Marquez and a couple other guys. He looked bad in the ground, but I think he has made those improvements too, Cole, as we saw against Patolo. That was a smaller fighter. So, Patolo and Anders, that's a big weight difference, right? And the Bartos fight, you got to talk about that too. He got taken down at will in that fight, guys.
Yeah.
And it was at welter. I can't remember what weight class it was at. I don't even know. Bartos is a welter who moved up. It was a welter who moved up, and he took him down at will, which does worry me. Although that fight was weird too, the circumstances because of COVID. It was moved from a UFC event to a Cage Warriors card, and I don't know if it's considered a UFC fight because it's not on UFC stats, but they were paid UFC money. Call it's really weird how that happened actually. But anyways, I lean towards Stewart. Let's get to some other fights here. Matthias Nicolau, Manel Cape, Cole. Let's get to this one. Manel Cape minus 145, Nicolau plus 125. You think that Cape can get a bounce back win here? You think Nicolau wins his debut or return to the UFC? Excuse me, return.
Yeah, I like Manel Cape, but it's really hard. Like I was super high on him, and then that Pantoja fight just disappointed me. Like he didn't show any sort of urgency to get the win. Like he wasn't throwing anything. If he does that same thing, Nicolau's going to win this fight. But I do think I think he's going to come out, try to get that first UFC win a lot more than what he was against Pantoja. I think he realized that style's not going to work. But Nicolau's a guy that he obviously hasn't fought since August of 2019. Sorry, but it's been a while. 2 wins over okay guys since he got released from the UFC, which he never really should have been. 1 loss to Dustin Ortiz, and he gets cut. But I like Manel Cape. I think this fight stays standing. He's a better striker, but if he has no sense of urgency and doesn't throw anything, like Nicolau's just going to walk away with a decision similar to what Pantoja did.
Yeah, this one is interesting too. I think Nicolau's going to have the same exact problem Cape had in his last fight, in this fight. A long layoff. I think that was Cape's problem, Cole. He hadn't fought in over a year, and because of COVID and stuff, since his rise, that was his first fight in the UFC. And I watched the fight, Cole. He lost the first 2 rounds. He actually did well in the 3rd round, though. He started moving forward. You saw the aggression a little bit for Cape. You go back and watch his fights in Japan. The guy's super aggressive, tons of power, Cole. He didn't look good in that fight, guys, but I think this could be a bounce-back spot for him. I'd like to get him at a better price than minus 145, though, Cole. If it was a pick-em, I would definitely take a shot in here, I think, because Nicolau is just not that impressive to me, guys. I watched his fights since the UFC. The one fight he did hurt the guy, and then I think he knocked him down. He was either a punch or a kick, and then he got him in a dart choke when the guy was on the ground. It was pretty cool. The other fight, though, last fight, against Silva, I think his name was. Oh, he didn't look good at all. He just won a decision. It was kind of a boring fight. He got knocked out by Dustin Ortiz with a head kick. He actually had his hand up the block and still knocked him out. So if this Cape guy hits him in the chin, he's going to knock him out, I think. That's something to look at here potentially, too. Odds are it's going to be a decision call for Cape, but I wouldn't be surprised he won my knock. But yeah, he's someone I'm looking at. I don't know if I'm betting on him for sure. I'd like to get him at less juice. I'd like to get him at pick-em price, but I do think he wins this fight. Next up, we got Angela Hill, Ashley Yoder. Now, we talked about this fight a few weeks ago, so let's not break it down too much depth, Cole. My pick hasn't changed. I still like Hill, but I still don't like the line. Right now, it's actually even bigger than when I don't know how that makes sense, but it's actually bigger now, Cole, than it was 2 weeks ago. Minus 365 for Angie Hill, plus 305 here for Ashley Yoder. Are you taking a shot on Yoder, Cole?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if she won just using the takedowns. Like, I think Hill's takedown evens has gotten better since that fight, but like, why is Angela Hill a 3.5 to 1 favorite? Like, Angela Hill, like, people just bet on her because they think she likes her. She's not a top 10 strawweight. Like, I hate to say it to everyone that thinks she got robbed and she should be like fighting for the belt. She's not a top 10 strawweight. I'd pick pretty much every single top 10 strawweight against her. Her wins, like, to get those fights, her winning streak was Luma Lukbuni, Hannah Cyphers, Ariane Carnellosi. Like, are any of those wins remotely impressive? I don't really think so. Like, I think she'll just kind of outwork Ashley Yoder, but there's no, like, I wouldn't be mad if someone, like, I think the smart bet is probably put a bit of money on Ashley Yoder and hopefully she just takes her down.
Yeah, again, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but, I'm just going to keep this really brief. Yoder has the physical tools. She's taller, longer, better wrestling, but Hill's got the better striking, more volume on the feet, and Hill's takedown defense has improved. So, I mean, really, if you're going to bet on Yoder, you're basically betting on her making that big of an improvement from the last time they fought in her grappling and the ability to hold her to the ground. I don't know what's going to happen, but it could. So I'm betting on Hill. I'm staying away from this one. It's dog or pass. To be honest, there's like 4 or 5 dogs, big dogs in this, like plus 200-300 dogs that could win, Cole. I could easily see Ray Rodriguez winning, Yoder winning. You could easily see it too, right? Like 3 or 4 upsets on this one. What about this fight? Here's another potential upset. Gavin Tucker at plus 105 against Dan Ige. What are you thinking of this one, Cole?
I really like Dan Ige in this fight. Like it should be known, I have a terrible time picking Gavin Tucker's fights ever since that beat down. Like, I thought Billy Q was going to be too much. I did pick him against Justin James. I think I didn't, but that Billy Q fight, like, I thought Billy Q's cardio would be the difference, and it was Billy Q that was gassing out. Gavin Tucker pushed an insane pace, but Dan Ige just went 5 hard rounds against Calvin Kattar, who was one of the best featherweights. Didn't even seem to really slow down over 5 rounds. Like, he has some good wins in the UFC. Like, he has some good striking, good grappling. I think this fight stays standing, and I think Ige is just going to have more volume. I think Tucker is the more powerful striker. I think Tucker has the ability to knock someone out. I don't really think Ige does, but I just think Ige will throw more volume, land the better shots, and win a decision.
Sorry, you know what happened? I just saw on Twitter, they just released the new rankings, and it's exactly what me and Marcel said yesterday, Cole. Israel's still ranked above Jan in pound for pound. He's number 6 and Jan is 8. That's a joke. Come on.
I don't think so.
Come on, bro. Jan just he's won 9
Jan
and
has
10.
1 title defense, and Izzy went up in weight. Jan stayed out.
Izzy has 1 title defense. Doesn't he just have 1?
No, he has 2.
Costa and
Romero.
Romero. Oh, come on, Cole. That fight was so bad. Anyways, this fight. Gavin Tucker is a guy that I've had to try. Cole, I think we're both like 0-5 on his fights, man. Like, it's just so hard to pick his fights. The guy that we've seen lately has been amazing, though. I mean, he's dominating his fights. He goes for the takedowns right away. The chin's still such a concern, though, Cole, to me. Justin James dropped him, Cole, in the first round, and he hurt him bad. The Rick Glenn fight, a beatdown. Dan Ige is underrated power, guys. I watched his fights again. He can knock people out. He's knocked down tons of people, knocked out a bunch. Great submission game. This is a close freaking fight, man. I think this is one of the closest fights in the card to pick. I'm leaning towards Tucker because I do believe in the improvements, but there's a lot to like about him here. Like his age, I think he's 35, Cole. You know, he's been around the game for a long time. Dan Ige is an underrated guy who's usually an underdog in his fights and wins. So he's like a Jan Blachowicz of 145 in a way, Cole. I like, Ige's been a great bet for me. I bet on him a bunch of times against Barboza, Baktich, a bunch of guys as an underdog, but I don't know about this one. This is a tough one to call. My slight leans towards Tucker. I think he does get the takedowns. But man, Cole, he could easily get KO'd. Maybe that's something you guys look at. You get by KO, which is something people don't think will happen. Plus 650, Cole. But I'm telling you, could happen because he has power. Ben Rothwell, Philippe Lin. Speaking of power, we got the big boys here. It's a pick on minus 110 each, guys. Who do you like, Cole?
Oh, I guess I'll go with Ben Rothwell just to kind of hold up Philippe Lins against the cage. Went a pretty grinding out decision. Ben Rothwell, like, he has those spurts where for like 15 seconds he just throws haymakers, then he gets tired, and he just pushes up his opponent against the cage and just kind of tries to grind him out. That's kind of what that type of fight was for bits and pieces. Rothwell was looking really good, and then he tires out. Philippe Lins has probably been one of the biggest busts in UFC history. Like, wins the PFL tournament, everyone has somewhat high hope, and then he loses to Orlovsky, gets knocked out by Bozer. I think Rothwell will just land the better shots, use his size, just kind of hold Lins up and win probably a pretty boring decision.
I like Rothwell a lot in this fight. Are you kidding me? Minus 110 on Ben Rothwell. Philippe Lins stinks. He's really bad, guys. I watched his fights again. He's looked horrible in the UFC, so inactive, doesn't do anything. The guy in PFL, this is not the same guy. It's a completely different fighter. The guy in PFL would have beat a lot of guys in the UFC. This is not the same guy. The guy that we've seen in the UFC has been terrible. I watched John's interview with him this morning, and, he said the right things, but to be honest, bro, he said everything that, I like Ben Rothwell. He's like, yeah, Ben's a guy, he's basically like, Ben has an iron chin, you can't knock him out. He's literally impossible to knock out. You cannot knock out. How does Lins win this fight? Tell me. He wins it on points? Cole, he's done nothing to tell me that he can actually throw volume. If you look at Ben's fights, he beat OSP last year, by the way, who's a very comparable fighter, very similar size, outpointed him, won a split decision. The fight at Tabura, he slowed down late, he got taken down the third round, but he actually won the first round and actually did okay in that fight. I just think he's got way more experience. He's got better submissions, I think, on the ground. He's so underrated in general. Ben Rothwell's been an amazing bet for me for a long time, Cole. He's always like a pick-em price or dog money, Cole, because you look at him, you're like, Ben Rothwell, like whatever, right? But are you kidding me? This is a gatekeeper fight to see who decides to stay in the UFC. I think Ben knocks out Philippe Lins in this fight, Cole. I think this is going to be a first-round KO. Just like the Stefan Struve fight, or the second round, I guess. But Ben by KO, plus 300. Not bad. I mean, he could win decision too, so I wouldn't go crazy. And what's the decision prop? Ben by decision. Where is that? Ben, I don't even see it. Ben Rothwell wins by this. Okay, plus 280. How about Rothwell in round 1 KO? What's that? Plus 600. That's probably his path here. I mean, you could win a decision, though, too. Anyways, you guys know I like Rothwell. So let's move on to the next fight. Cirkunov, Ryan Spann. This is another tough one to call, Cole. It's basically a pick-em here with a slight lean towards Misha. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, close fight. I think it really comes down to if it stays standing, Ryan Spann wins. If it hits the ground, like, can't Cirkunov submit. I'll lean Ryan Spann slightly just because Misha Cirkunov hasn't been too active. Hasn't fought since that UFC Vancouver card in September of 2019 when Gaethje knocked out Cowboys. It's been a while. He obviously did beat Jimmy Crute, but there was Crute came close to finishing him, and then he obviously gets knocked out. Johnny Walker beats Pat Cummins, who gets knocked out to Glover Teixeira, gets knocked out to Volkan Oezdemir. Like, I can't trust his chin anymore at this point of his career. I think Ryan Spann connects and drops him and finishes him off by TKO. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Cirkunov tapped out Ryan Spann, but I just can't trust Misha Cirkunov's chin at this point.
This is for the last fight. I just missed the comment from Daniel. Said KO interesting. Ben Rothwell. I like Ben. I mean, he could win decision for sure, but I mean, it's a heavyweight fight, and he's got tons of power. Philippe Lins does not have a good chin. I'm telling you also, Cole, like the PFL run he had, guys, like the guys he beat up are not good fighters, guys. Josh Copeland, Jared Rochelle, these are guys that couldn't make it in the UFC poll. I'm sorry, like Alexei Olenek knocked out Jared Rochelle. He doesn't have a good chin. Don't buy that performance in the PFL. It's not the same guy. This fight is freaking close as hell. I mean, I agree completely with what you said. Misha is amazing wrestling and amazing submissions, like incredible. He's Peruvian necktie, Cole. Like, who does that in the UFC these days? So he's incredible on the ground. But I got to be honest, Cole, I don't trust his chin at all. He doesn't have a great chin, guys. I love Misha. I don't want to say anything negative about him. He's a great guy. What his wife's been going through with cancer has been really tough, I'm sure, on him the last couple of years. So, that's a problem, though. He hasn't fought in a year and a half, Cole. You know what I mean? And again, some people are saying, hey, maybe his chin's kind of healed up a little bit. I don't know, Cole, because if you watch the fights, the Volkan fight, Cole, he gets hit right here. He was beating Volkan and then gets hit in the ear and went right down. It was like his body turned off. And then Glover Teixeira fight, Cole, he was actually doing really well. And then Glover pinned him to the ground and hit him in the head, and he was down. And I watched the fight like 10 times, like the finish. He tapped out the strikes, guys. So that scares me. And Johnny Walker fight, honestly, guys, he got hit with a flying knee. That would have knocked out anyone, so whatever. Ryan Spann, he also fought Johnny Walker and got finished, but he had a lot of success against Johnny Walker early on. And also, I watched the fight really close. Cole, safes screaming behind the cage. Back of the head. Cole, they were all back of the head shots that hurt Ryan Spann. That fight should have been a no contest. So, or DQ. That should have been a DQ. If he didn't hit in the back of the head, it would have been a different fight. He was actually working the takedowns. He had a couple takedowns. He dropped Johnny Walker. The Sam Ellie fight is something that really concerned me because he slowed down so late, but I don't think this fight goes past 1 round. I like under 1.5 rounds, Cole. I think it ends really quick. I think either Spann gets a KO or Misha submits him. Although Spann has good submissions too, but yeah, I'm thinking under. High energy today. Yeah, I know. I just had my morning tea. No, it was good. I took the day off social media yesterday, guys. I watched the tape on these guys. I'm ready to go, Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad, Cole, finally get to the main event here. What do you think of this line, Cole? We got Leon Edwards at minus 260, Belal at plus 220. Leon, great fighter, great win streak, hasn't fought since July 2019. Belal, one of the most underrated guys probably in the UFC welterweight division. What are your thoughts on this matchup, man?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because Belal Muhammad has looked impressive, but he's fighting low level, like not guys that are Leon Edwards, and his calf was destroyed. And I wonder how that's going to play factor. Like, I wonder if Leon Edwards just start to go after the calf early in the first round, because I don't really know how much it could heal in a month, because like he could barely walk out of the cage, and he's turning around literally 4 weeks later to fight Leon Edwards. Belal Muhammad is like just a in-your-face kind of guy. Like, he has good cardio, but can he go 5 rounds? Like, that's the big question here. Leon Edwards has proven to go himself out 5 rounds. He's very well-rounded, good striking, good grappling. I like Leon Edwards here. I like him by decision probably just because Leon Edwards doesn't finish a whole lot of guys. And Belal is pretty tough to finish. Like, he took all Jeff Neal's shots for 3 rounds and just kept on going forward. Other than that Vicente Luque knockout, he's been very durable. But I think Belal Muhammad is going to make this fight closer. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a round or 2, but I think this is Leon Edwards' fight to lose.
Yeah, I lean towards Edwards too. You have to, because it's almost like they're kind of similar fighters actually, many ways. Like, they're both good wrestling, both good at wrestling. They're both good at striking. I think Edwards is more durable. I think he's faster though. I think that he's got more knockout power. Belal has no knockout power pool. That's a big problem. I think He's a great fighter, though. I got to be honest. Watching his fights back, man, he's impressive, Cole. I wouldn't be surprised if he did win, though. I got to be honest, because he does have the wrestling, and he's got a great double leg. Edwards is good wrestling, really good wrestling, I think, especially for a British fighter, which everyone says don't have good wrestling. He's got really good wrestling, but he has been planted on his back before. And, I watched the Donald Cerrone fight back, Cole, which kind of reminds me of this matchup a little bit. The kicks are different, obviously, but Belal is very durable like Donald is. And Donald actually had some success in that fight with some takedowns and stuff, and it was a close fight, 48-47. It's just that Edwards is just sharper with his jab. He's got a great jab, Cole. Mm-hmm. And, he does have a little bit of KO power. We saw against Seth Kaczynski, I think 7 or 8 years ago in his debut, or his second fight in the UFC. I've been great at picking Edwards fights throughout his career, guys. I think I've picked almost every fight of his correctly, including his debut against Claudio Silva, and I picked Silva as an underdog. Everyone thought it was crazy that night. That guy's an underrated fighter too. But I think it's a little bit closer than maybe the line indicates, but I still lean towards Edwards. So probably by decision, Cole. It wouldn't surprise me though if he did knock him out. Like Daniel says, Bilal's tough. He's very tough, but Vicente Luque was able to knock him out cold. Alan Juban dropped him 3 times in their fight. It was an absolute beating he took in that fight, Cole. That kind of reminds me of this fight. Alan Juban and Leon Edwards are kind of similar, although Juban throws more kicks. But yeah, I lean toward Edwards. Again, my bets are going to be at and my DFS plays, Elite Fantasy on Friday. Got my full article coming out. Killed it last week. All the extra. I'm looking at breaking down these cards now, Cole. It's like studying for an exam. Like you're trying to get. It's like a yes or no exam, and I'm trying to get yes or no right, and I'm trying to get more rights than wrong. So I was really happy with all the work I put in last week. You guys saw it with Jan, with Trevin, and a few guys. So we'll see. Belal, Valerie says Belal's on one leg, maybe KO for and he could do it. I think Belal could make this tougher. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if there's, for some reason, this just reminds me of that fight with Frankie Edgar and Pedro Munoz last year, Cole, where it's a similar line, almost the same line. And remember, it was a close fight that Belal just edged out by split decision. Like, would you be shocked if Belal edged out a split decision, Cole? Would you? So, yeah, it's a tough one. Anyways, I think that's it for today's show. But we got a couple minutes left, Cole. So why don't you plug your stuff, man? What do you got coming out this week and coming up?
Yeah, my show this week is Dan Ige, Eryk Anders, Jonathan Martinez, Jason Witt. Also all those. I talked to Ray Rodriguez, fighter picks for the main event. I talked to Elias Theodore because he's making his big return this Saturday in Rise in the Canadian promotion. So everything else is always on my Twitter, though. That's awesome, Cole. And like, where else are you working now, Cole, besides the place you just mentioned? Quite a few. So Sports Betting Dime, I do the UFC previews there. MMA News, my MMA News, BJ Penn. Quite a few, honestly. Like, it's just, some of them are just like one article, so it's really not that much. But yeah, I'm keeping busy. That's good, Cole. And hopefully you can join us in the chats, man, going forward. We obviously want you there. Follow me on Twitter at MMAOB guys. I actually got a lot of followers the last couple of days from the Dan Hardy thing, surprisingly. So that's pretty good. Welcome. Guys can follow me there. Starting next week, again, the podcast is changing times to 4 p.m. Eastern. Thursday, this week, AJ Shula is going to join me at 10 a.m. So that's the last 10 a.m. show. And then it's going to go 4 p.m. Eastern starting next week. Like I said, I'm starting the full-time editor job at BJ Penn next week. So I'll be working, it's Monday to Friday, but I'm also working Sunday. I'm working it basically every day. But honestly, with COVID and stuff, Cole, like, we can't go anywhere anyway. So and my kid's coming in 5 months from now. I got 5 months to do this. When the kid arrives, it's going to be different. But for now, it's it's a grind, Cole. It's every day. We're busting our chops here, guys, but we're trying to do a good job for you guys. And if you guys are tuning in the podcast every week, I'm sure you're enjoying it. So I really appreciate it. You got a lot of regulars here, and we love it. But again, I just want to say thanks to Cole, man, because I started the podcast in May 2019. It was just me, Nick's like, hey, do a daily, instead of your daily news article, do a daily podcast. So I was like, come on, Nick, I'm not good on camera. I'm going to suck on this. And 2 years later, I feel like I'm actually really good at this now. And I feel like Cole is really good at this now. And I think we both really improved in it. I think if you go back, Cole, and you watch the first time we did it together, Cole, and you watch to now, it's going to be night and day, man. So anyways, thanks, Cole. Appreciate it. And yeah, guys, Twitter at MMAOB, DJPenn.com, MMAOddsbreaker.com, the home of the podcast, Elite Fantasy, Elite Betting. Where else am I working, Cole? Fanatics Fantasy. I got a piece on Belal Muhammad coming out this week. What else? My MMA News as well. So check all those places out, guys. Have a great day, and I'll be back Thursday at 10 a.m. Peace.